Okay, let's title this what Nick Cannon should be saying instead of apologizing to identity thieves. Let's roll the clips and let's show you how disrespectful they are in trying to make him apologize.
Cannon, an American comedian, rapper, producer, and television host. Nick recently came under fire after making anti-Semitic comments on his podcast and YouTube show, Cannon's Class. But since then, he has repeatedly made public apologies and has spent the past few weeks going through a process of multiple meetings with AJC and others to gain a deeper understanding of Judaism and anti-Semitism.
I want to hear you tell it in your own words. Certainly there was blatant anti-Semitism in the video, in the podcast that we were able to view or catch snippets of,
right,
with classic stereotypes and even conspiracy theories about the Jewish people, a little bit of identity politics.
Right.
Who can call themselves what?
Right.
Kinds of things. And then there was some introspection, education, perhaps a series of apologies.
Indeed.
We appreciate the honesty of that answer, Nick. And I know it won't surprise you that that still remains for us not fully satisfactory.
Absolutely. And I that's one thing I pray for every night is like, how can we bring the leaders of those communities? Because imagine if, you know, the men and women in the Nation of Islam and the men and women in, you know, any Jewish community came together and sat down and had a conversation. How much healing would occur?
Trouble, if I may say.
Good trouble, as John Lewis calls it. Good trouble. We're gonna lead to connection and love.
Nick, this was not good trouble that you got into.
What I got into was good trouble, but now we're these conversations can be good trouble. That's just trouble.
The not good trouble that you got into was because of the narratives that you had heard from others whom you
read, yes,
as your leaders.
Yes.
And therefore, because you have gone down this road, you have a responsibility, I think, to call it out.
So you see that? You hear how he says a little bit of identity politics and who can call themselves what? Well, let's see who they are, and let's see who we are, and let's see who fits the scriptures. Okay, Exhibit 1, Genesis 10, 1 through 5. And these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And unto them were sons born after the flood. The sons of Japheth, Gomer and Magog and Madai and Javan and Tubal and Meshech and Tyrus. And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz and Rephath and Togarmah. And the sons of Javan, Elisha and Tarshish, Kittim and Dodanim. By these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, everyone after his tongue and after their families in their nations. So we see that Ashkenaz is a Gentile. They call themselves Ashkenazi Jews. Ashkenaz is a Gentile. Exhibit 2, Genesis chapter 11, and we start. And Shem lived after he begat Arphaxad 500 years and begat sons and daughters. So now we're talking about Shem's lineage, okay? These are the generations of Shem. What do we got over here at verse 26? And Terah lived 70 years and begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran. So Abram is a descendant of Shem, not Japheth. Exhibit 3, Abram is a Hebrew. We in Genesis 14, verse 13. And there came one that had escaped and told Abram the Hebrew. For he dwelt in the plain of Mamre, the Amorite, brother of Eshcol and brother of Aner, and these were confederate with Abram. Next, we go to Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. Turn to page 213, and we see the definition of Ham. Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites. These are your Africans. Next, we turn to page 510 of Zondervan, and we see the word ruddy, which is a word used to refer to a red or fair complexion, in contrast to the dark skin of the Hebrews. So we know Hebrews come from Shem, and this tells us that the Hebrews have dark skin. Next, we go back to the Bible, and we see where Moses was misidentified as an Egyptian. Verse 17, And the shepherds came and drove them away, but Moses stood up and helped them and watered their flock. And when they came to Reuel, their father, he said, how is it that you are so soon come today? And they said, an Egyptian delivered us out of the hand of the shepherds, and also drew water enough for us and watered the flock. So Moses was mistaken as an Egyptian. We just read that the Egyptians were a dark race of people, and we also see that the Hebrews had dark skin. We'll go to Collins' Atlas of the Bible. We turn to page 38, and what do we see? Images that they've taken out of the tombs and pictures that they've taken out of the tombs. As you can see, the Egyptian is dark skinned. The Egyptians models were made dark skinned. The picture are dark skinned. So Moses was mistaken as a dark-skinned Egyptian. We'll go back to the Bible and we'll see Lamentations chapter 5. We're going to read verses 7 through 11. Our fathers have sinned and are not, and we have borne their iniquities. Servants have ruled over us. There is none that deliver us out of their hand. We got our bread with the peril of our lives because of the sword of the wilderness. Our skin, the color of their skin, our skin was black like an oven because of the terrible famine. They ravished the women in Zion and the maids in the cities of Judah. So the children of Judah, their skin was black like an oven because of the terrible famine. So dark-skinned people in drought and in heat, their skin turns black or darker. Next we go to Deuteronomy 28. We'll pick it up at verse 63. These are the scriptures that they hate. Here we go. And it shall come to pass that as the Lord rejoiced over you to do you good and to multiply you, so the Lord will rejoice over you to destroy you and to bring you to naught. And you shall be plucked from off the land whither thou goest to possess it. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people from, let's go up here, from the one end of the earth even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. And among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall thy sole of thy foot have rest, but the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart and failing of eyes and sorrow of mind. And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shalt have none assurance of thy life. In the morning thou shalt say, would God it were even, and at even thou shalt say, would God it were morning. For the fear of thine heart wherewith thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof he spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again, and there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. Now let's read from Isaiah 18. Woe to the land shadowing with wings, which is beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, which puts you in Africa, that sendeth ambassadors by the sea, even in vessels of bulrushes upon the waters. What is a vessel of bulrush upon the water? That's a ship. Saying, go ye swift messengers to a nation scattered and peeled, to a people terrible from their beginning hitherto, a nation meted out and trodden down, whose land the rivers have spoiled. All ye inhabitants of the world and dwellers on the earth, see ye when he lifted up an ensign on the mountains, and when he bloweth a trumpet, hear ye. For so the Lord said unto me, I will take my rest, and I will consider it in my dwelling place, like a clear heat upon the herbs, and like a cloud of dew in the heat of harvest. For the harvest, when the bud is perfect and the sour grape is ripening in the flower, he shall both cut off the sprigs with pruning hooks and take away and cut down the branches. So the branches were cut down beyond the rivers of Ethiopia. Next we go to Romans 11 and see what Paul has to say about these cut down branches. Romans 11 and 17, and it says, and if some of the branches be broken off, and thou being a wild olive tree were grafted in amongst them, and with them partakest of the root and fatness of the olive tree, boast not against the branches. But if thou boast, thou bearest not the root, but the root thee. Thou wilt say then, the branches were broken off, that I might be grafted in. Well, because of unbelief they were broken off, and thou standest by faith. Be not high-minded, but fear. For if God spared not the natural branches, take heed lest he also spare not thee. So let's jump down to here. For I would not, brethren, verse 25. For I would not, brethren. Okay, let's flip the page. That you should be ignorant of this mystery, lest you should be wise in your own conceits, that blindness in part has happened to Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles be come in. Now let's look and see what Joshua had to say about the Jews being cut down. Right? Verse 24, Luke 21:24, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword and shall be led away captive into all nations, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Okay, now let's get jiggy with it. At the height of American slavery, 78% of slave owners were ethnic Jews. 40% of the Jewish population were slave owners, while only 0.35% of the white Americans owned slaves, right? This comes, as you can see, https www.jewishvirtuallibrary.org, right? So you can look it up yourself. Next, let's see who owned the slave ships. As you can see, name of the ship on the left-hand column, the owners in the middle, and their ethnicity all down on the right, and it says the Jews. You see that? So how are they the people that are being taken into bondage and scattered across the world when they own the ships? Next, we see on the west coast of Africa, right where the slave coast was, what do you see right there? Judah, right? Jews in Africa, right? And then what happened to them? You see what happened with Israel? Israel migrated south into Africa beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, where the ships came and picked them up in the via the transatlantic slave trade. And that's how they were scattered into all nations. So who fits that prophecy? Now let's go back to the prophecy of Noah concerning Japheth and Shem. Remember, Japheth is the father of the Gentiles. God shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents or the habitations of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. So Japheth, who is Ashkenaz's granddad, right? And these people calling themselves Ashkenazi Jews are dwelling in the tents of Shem. Remember what Jesus or Yahshua said about that? That they would dwell there, they would trod down Jerusalem until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Finally, Revelations verse 3 and 9, and let's see. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan. So we got synagogue of Satan worshipers, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. So there's people claiming to be Jews who are not, and they're a bunch of lying devil worshipers. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee. So the real Jews were the ones put on the ships, not the ones owning the ships. But somebody is running around here lying. And those somebody that's running around here lying, the scripture tells us the identity thieves that are saying they are Jews and are not, they are the synagogue of Satan. So there you have it. To you fake Jew, lying Khazar imposters, we don't owe you no apology. You can have Nick Cannon apologize to you, but for those of us in the know, we ain't apologizing to you for nothing. If anything, you owe us an apology, and it's coming in due time. When the times of the Gentiles are to be fulfilled, yeah, you got to come and worship at our feet. Remember that.